Hello, everyone. Thank you so very much for being with us. It is time for Three Guys Before the Game, episode number 580. This is our Oklahoma State game preview, and everyone is here. Everyone is assembled. You fellers ready to do this thing? Please say yes.
Let's go.
All right, well, let's do it. In order for us to do it, I got to remind you that Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By GoMart. Get a GoMart rewards card and immediately start saving on your food and fuel. Visit GoMart.com to get that, or just download the GoMart app. Three Guys brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. Three Guys brought to us by Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way. Tudor's Biscuit World.
What? Yeah, I could eat one right now. I knew you were going to ask me.
And Three Guys Spreads on Stats is brought to us by Conley CPA Group. They provide value beyond numbers.
They're going to get value beyond the numbers today. I got a lot of them, boys.
Yeah. Got a heavy dose.
Give the guy a week off. He's got twice as many numbers.
Well, you know, you're a month in, 4 games in. Now his numbers are starting to mature, Hoppy. They're starting to get some credence to them, some value to them. Lucky that we're even doing a show today. I mean, I thought it was touch and go whether we were going to be able to pull this off.
What? Reason?
Major controversy just before hitting the record button. Brad, threw a tizzy, attacked me unfairly. He says because I brought up Frankie Valli yesterday near him, that his phone intercepted the message, and now he's been bombarded with a bunch of Frankie Valli stuff ever since then. He puts that on me. Why are you putting that on me?
Because you said it. You mentioned it. I didn't ask for an update. Now I've got so many I couldn't even get to my stats packages because I got Frankie Valli emails all over the place. All due respect, of course.
Well, but Frankie Valli's, they came out with a statement, though, and said he's okay. It wasn't as bad as it looked. Right?
It didn't look good.
It did not.
Did not look good. All right, court's in session. Thank you for being with us. On our program today, we're back into action this weekend. The world champion Mountaineers are. First Big 12 road game, and against the Cowboys of Oklahoma State. And super, super interesting and intriguing for a bunch of different reasons. I don't know if it makes the needle pop at all nationally, but I think for these two particular programs, there's just an immense amount on the line. So we'll get into that. Brad's got Brad, whatever his name is, Brent here has Brent Howell has spreads on stats available, and he says got a lot of numbers. And then we've got Textual Healing, and we also are getting ready. We're already advancing next week's game against Iowa State. Since the last time we got together, the time for the game has been set at 8 o'clock. It's going to be the Coal Rush game, which means, as far as the Three Guys food court goes, they're next to Daniels on University Avenue. Super long time. You've got basically about a 12-hour day on Saturday. Now, we're going to open on Friday at 4. And you can hang out Friday if you're coming in.
A little happy hour situation on Friday.
Happy hour Friday.
Like. Yeah, a little food.
That extends into the dark. And then we're going to go 8 in the morning until probably 6, 7 o'clock.
Sure.
By the way, you know Rev Kev and the barbecue? You're familiar with his barbecue?
Yeah.
Those pans just went on sale today. Game day pans, they're going to do 50 of them. And it's an 8-pound beautifully sliced brisket, which makes you cry. It's so good. 2 pounds of pulled pork, 2 pounds of chicken. You can order those on their website. There's only 50 of them. If you're going to do a big deal, feeds between 15 to 18 people. Like if it was me and Brad, it'd feed 15. But if you don't eat a ton, but 18. Anyway, go to the sourcewv.org to order. thesourcewv.org. Okay.
But this is Thursday, October 3 when you just made that announcement. Depending on when people listen, they're on sale Thursday, October 3.
Well, it's not. No one's going to listen to it before then, and they're on sale at 1 o'clock today. So by the time
you got to say today, somebody may be listening tomorrow and think you meant tomorrow.
Oh, They're on sale now.
Thursday, October 3.
You are listening live.
All right, fellas. Had a really good show, by the way. Thanks to Tucker DeVries. Last week, we dropped that show on Sunday. We taped it earlier that week, or before that, several days before that. Got a lot of really good reviews on that.
Popular episode.
Yeah, and some people hear a voice cadence in Tucker DeVries that we'll bring up during Textual Healing. Said he's similar to another former Mountaineer in how he sounds. We'll wait till those
It
texts
was
come
good.
up.
If you've missed that, go back and
Definitely got to
listen. It was fun.
All right. So time now for Hoppy's obvious. You need a little limerick or a little jingle
Stinger?
for Hoppy's obvious observations.
Stinger reference.
HOO. Who?
Obvious observations, and I'll defer to Brent for more details. Oklahoma State has lost their first 2 conference games for the first time since 2005.
Wow, that's a long time.
Now, opponent adjusted. It was Kansas State and Utah.
Mm-hmm.
But they have struggles, as Brad will document, on offense and on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Focus has been on offense, but defense has got issues too. So the Utah game, Cam Rising doesn't play. So Utah just says, you know what? We'll just line up and run the ball. What'd they do, Brad? Ran the ball 51 times for 250 yards. Micah Bernard ran the ball 25 times for 182. And Oklahoma State loses to Utah. Okay, can they get it right against K-State? K-State rolls them 42-20. K-State had 559 yards, including 300 on the ground. 300 on the ground. So they have not been able to stop the run so far. In fact, they're and then you turn over to their offense. Their offense are struggling. And Ollie Gordon, the leading rusher in the nation last year, everybody says, okay, he's going to be great. And he is a great runner, but something's going on there because he's averaging only 3.8 yards per carry. As a team, they're averaging 3.5 yards per carry, which is near the bottom of all the Power 4 teams in the country. So they're not running the ball successfully. Alan Bowman, in his 9th year, has been somewhat inconsistent. He has 6 interceptions so far this season. They've been clamoring for Zane Flores. The fans want Zane Flores.
Yeah.
Their highly recruited quarterback, redshirt freshman quarterback. So they got all kinds of issues going on there. So what you don't know is going into this game, is this a team that is dysfunctional offensively and defensively, and that's just 5 games in, that's who they are, and they're going to struggle all year? Or they have a pretty good coach there. Are they going to make changes and get things right? Because their schedule the rest of the season, not too bad. They have a manageable schedule at BYU. West Virginia, they're favored against West Virginia. At BYU.
That's
At
not
BYU,
There's no manageable there.
I know, but hang on.
Hoppy talk about going to Provo.
I
He's going to start
understand.
Those Cougars, and they're going to line up at their place.
I understand, but after that, Baylor, Arizona State, TCU, Texas Tech, Colorado. So they could get it together here for the remainder of this season, and it could start Saturday against West Virginia. So, Brad, I don't know. I don't know what you got here. Do you have a team that is hurt and is going to come out and rally and get it together and start to reach potential, which they have underachieved? Or is this a team that has some fundamental issues that's going to stay with them much of the year?
Now, were you talking about Oklahoma State there at the end or West Virginia?
Oklahoma State.
Because, right, the same thing can be said for West Virginia, who found a way, obviously, to win, to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat against Kansas there, and gave you some confidence moving forward. There was a lot to like in those final couple of possessions, but in falling behind by 11, there were some things that still concern you. Where's this West Virginia defense? Because here's the part where I think, and this is really hard to do, so I don't know is the proper thing to say right now. The challenge is, and you said opponent adjusted, and not only opponent adjusted with Utah and Kansas State, but style in which they play, specifically defensively, is different than the style that West Virginia gives you. So to just think West Virginia can plug and play with the same results as those two teams may be a little bit inaccurate. You've got to see where this West Virginia defense is. Right. Now, is the West Virginia defense improving? You saw most of the second half against Pitt, a really good West Virginia defense. You saw 4 of the final drives against Kansas getting off the field with no points. So is that defense starting to come along a little bit? What do you see? And I think you make a great point, and that's what a lot of my numbers will be based around is the rushing game for Oklahoma State. Something is not right. That's well said by you, both at the running back position and the offensive line. West Virginia needs to make sure that it stays something not right this week. So we'll see how that goes.
So let's put a little bit more light to the point that you're making. So what you're saying is that Utah and Kansas State, let's just make it really super simple. Utah and Kansas State have cornerbacks that could get on top at the line of scrimmage of Oklahoma State's receivers and man up and just say, you're not going anywhere, right? And that allows them to put an extra defender or two down in the box to slow down Ollie Gordon. So that's what you're saying.
Yeah, and I've got some specific numbers that'll explain that coming up.
And so the difference this week is West Virginia is not going to put its corners on top of the shoes of the receivers of Oklahoma State because to this moment they have not proven that they can come close to being able to do that. So you're going to give up space right now. So now you got a little situation here. Is it a quick game for Alan Bowman? Is it the opportunity now for Ollie Gordon, since there's not going to be extra help in the box, to go? That is what you're talking about.
Is it a quick game for Alan Bowman? Let me just, spoiler alert, we'll move ahead. The answer is yes, and I'll get into those numbers as well.
He gets it out of his hand.
We'll dive into that. I think you will. Hoppy, you're going to like the numbers in this one. We get down in there on this one.
Bowman gets the ball out of his hands faster than that dinner check comes out of Hoppy's hands. Just whoo, where is that? Where'd that go?
And also, we'll talk about this here in just a minute. I'll put some context around this. But where is West Virginia's offense? 10 of the last 12 games, you put up more than 30 points. So can you keep that rolling? Because it doesn't feel, well, not only doesn't feel, West Virginia's offense has not hit its stride yet. It is not clicking on all cylinders. But there's some things that are getting better with that offense as this new offensive line is playing together, right? You want to see Jaheim White. Is this the week he has a breakout game? You need Jaheim White to get going at some point. CJ's been very good. How about receivers? We'll get into receivers because you talk about cornerbacks that want to come up and get right on you. It's part of the reason West Virginia's 3-9 against Oklahoma State since this series began. They have always had aggressive corners that come up, grab hold, and they're going to make those officials call the holding. And if they don't, then you got a long day coming at the wide receiver position unless you can get their hands off you. So what's West Virginia's offense ready to bring to the table? You saw Six take over last game, right? Where's he now? Is he ready to just say, okay, you know what, if the pass isn't there, if you're holding my guys, get downfield, I'll just go. I'll just run around you. Because you're right on the run defense for Oklahoma State isn't just struggling, they're massively struggling. So we'll get into some of those numbers here in just a minute.
Brad, you talked about 3-9 since against Oklahoma State since joining the league, and I think they've only got one win at Oklahoma State. Now, different teams, but West Virginia has struggled in Stillwater, just has not been able to play well, right?
1 win. 3-4. We're 3-4 all time in Stillwater.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
All right, never mind. Cut that, will you?
3, 2, 1. Cut. Oh, forgot. We don't edit. Just go with it. Hey, listen, you might be the first person that's ever said anything on 3 guys that isn't true. You're looking at me perplexed. You want me to look it up?
No,
I'll look it up for you.
So West Virginia's 3-4 at Stillwater.
Now, what got you the win last? You were just there last time you were there. You got the win,
right?
Right. 2 big Jalen Anderson runs,
right.
explosive runs, got you home in that game. Nico came in, remember, did a great job in a relief role. Came out of the bullpen, called for the lefty out of the bullpen, comes in, closes the game.
Yeah, 3-4. So West Virginia all time in this series, they've played 15 times. West Virginia is 5-10 against them. What's interesting is that West Virginia has had more success in Stillwater than they have in Morgantown against the Pokes. West Virginia is 2-5 in Morgantown against OSU. They're 3-4 in Stillwater and 0-1 in the Sun Bowl. And I always look at this series, and I always ask this question every time we play them. Why did this happen? 1928 and 1929, these two teams played against each other.
Like, why?
Just stop. Think about that. Basically, 100 years ago.
Longtime historic rival Oklahoma State.
100 years ago.
Like a blimp to get there.
They got him in 28 to come to Morgantown.
How?
Played at Mountaineer Field, lined up.
So they were sleepy from the train ride.
Lined up, beat them.
Train ride, wagon train. 32-6. And then the very next year, in the year that the Depression began,
29, West Virginia goes to what was known as Lewis Field Stadium in Stillwater, and West Virginia rolled them in front of a crowd of 10,000. Mountaineers win it by a final of 9-6.
9-6.
They went out there and kicked 5 field goals for the whole game.
I'd like to do some research and find out why in the world they had that series, but nevertheless. Okay, let me try again, since I was inaccurate on my last segment, is that West Virginia fans, I don't think we're factoring in, I wasn't, a loss to Pitt. So if you're thinking this team can win 7-8 games, maybe not 7-8 games, whatever, you were factoring in a Pitt win. So you didn't get that. So you got to make it up somewhere. And one of the things that this program has struggled with over the last couple of years, Brad, is winning these kinds of games on the road against a team that's favored, not by much, 3.5. So is this a chance to get one back, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, these are hard spots, right? Underdog on the road, those
Right.
are hard spots. But this is, and that's what I think so intriguing about this game is, are Oklahoma State's struggles something that's going to plague them all year, and can you keep them down for one more week? And did the Kansas game springboard you, or was it just a one-off, you had a great comeback, and that game just sits by itself? So I still think, we had similar conversations going into the Kansas game.
Right.
Both teams desperate for a win, and how'd that turn out?
Yeah.
Down to the very last possession, right? It was a back-and-forth type of game.
But you see what happened with Kansas. You see how it tilted the scales for Kansas, right?
They had another tough one last week, yeah. It's a massively important game, as we'll say each week for the next however many weeks are left. But this is going to be a fun one.
Well, 2 things that don't favor you. And that was the stat that you used, that since 2005, it's the first time they've gone 0-2 to start the league.
Right.
Okay, go do a little bit more math. Like, when's the last time they started 0-3 in the league? So history does not favor you in this thing. But at the same time, it's one day. You got a 50-50 chance to go in there and win this football game. But history says they find a way to fix themselves, right? Kind of like those animals. They grow their limbs back. They lose a limb. You know what I mean, Brent? They grow that limb grows back. These guys always find a way to regenerate.
And also because you got to assign something there to Mike Gundy. I mean, the guy can coach. The guy finds a way to win. He finds a way to have winning seasons. So if anybody can fix it, I think it's Gundy.
Yeah, I like him, man.
He's a different cat.
He's a different dude, but I just like his approach to it. He just kind of all right, get it fixed. He had some pretty good stuff. He basically vowed after their last game, hey, I'm just gonna. Through my experience, when this kind of thing happens, you just have to recommit and work harder.
Yeah, that's what he said.
So I'm going to spend more hours. Everyone's going to spend more hours this week. So you're going to get their best version coming up on Saturday.
See, that's the challenge with them, is because you're right. He's one of the very best in the league, really one of the very best nationally. So, yeah, he's been through this. He's seen these things and knows how to get his team. What you don't know, because here's what doesn't matter. In Gundy's 4th year, he didn't have this particular set of players. This is a whole new set of players that don't care about the history.
Right.
Where are they? Does this offensive line just have problems? Is Alan Bowman capable of beating you with his arm if you bottle the run game up? I mean, there's some actual serious questions that don't have to do with history, that don't have to do with Mike Gundy's ability to motivate. There's some on-field issues that this team is trying to clean up, both offensively and defensively. That's the intriguing part of this to me.
Business owners, have you been putting off ordering a new phone system? So many different benefits if you have the latest in technology when it comes to staying in touch with your folks or your customers that are calling in to do business with you. Comax Business Systems has an incredible opportunity for you. They'll come in, give you a free estimate, and you can take a look. They are competitively priced. They've got their phone systems in businesses across the state of West Virginia. Guess what? You get one of these new phone systems, Hoppy?
Yes, sir.
Your voicemail actually works. So you can't say, hey, I left you a message. I didn't get a message.
My voicemail, well,
yeah,
our voicemail does not work. Is that right?
I don't even know. I don't even check mine. Call Comax for a free price quote. So if I haven't returned your call, I don't check mine. Call Comax for a free price quote, competitively priced. You can purchase, you can lease, you can do whatever you'd like. Rent it as well. It's Comax Business Systems.
This is the courthouse. Why didn't you show up for jury duty, Mr. Carita?
Three Guys is also brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales, located in St. Albans. Happened to be the single largest pontoon boat dealer in the state. Hoppy had the opportunity in our last tailgate to talk to a young lady who grew up with the folks that make those unbelievable Avalon pontoon boats in Michigan. Grew up with the same people.
Yeah, friends.
And they're now aware of us, apparently, at Avalon headquarters.
Well, sure.
So, yeah, they are. So Avalon pontoon boats considered among the best made right here in the United States. If you're into pontoons, and all kidding aside, and we do sometimes kid here on this program, they are the premier, the single number one pontoon boat dealer in the state of West Virginia. And obviously, they got those other boats, those G3, those John boats.
Yeah, little fishing boat.
Ooh, look at that. That is a nice looking craft.
Nugget about friend of the program who knows the Avalon people.
What about Boston Marathon?
Has run the Boston Marathon 10 times.
Man, that's a long time.
I haven't confirmed this. She might run in from Michigan when she was at the food court. Might have just ran here.
No,
I
she
think
takes a pontoon.
Oh.
She gets in a pontoon.
Does she run to the pontoon?
Comes to the Great Lakes.
By the way, before you say it, you cannot get to Stillwater by pontoon.
Get close. Check out Lou Wendell if you want to attend in person. Walk into their bricks and mortar location. They're located in St. Albans. If not, it's LouWendellMarineSales.com. LouWendellMarineSales.com. This show needs a little cowbell, needs a little music. Let's do so.
So I checked the numbers. We'll just go right to the numbers. Here comes a heater.
Let's jump into the analytics portion of the show.
Ready? 5, 4, 3.
Spreads on Stats is our segment where we give you the most valuable numbers that oftentimes tell the story of the game before the game actually happens. Brought to us by Conley CPA Group, and they do provide value beyond numbers, complete service, public accounting, and consultation. They walk hand in hand with you. They are your guide in the world of business, and they will teach you all of the things you can and cannot do. And sometimes they'll give you an idea or two, and you go like, really, I can do that and save money that way by not paying that? Yeah, you can do that. Visit Conley's CPA Group. They can also outsource your accounting and your CFO services. Conley CPA Group. You say you got good stuff?
Buckle up, boys.
Here we go.
Buckle up. Game 5, got some new stuff.
All right, here's Spreads on Stats with Brent.
Unlocked a new database.
Oh, excuse me.
You got a new source?
Oh, we unlocked a new database.
Woo-hoo!
All right, seriously, settle in. Kirchhoff, you ready?
Ready. I'm anxious.
There's a lot of numbers coming here, so I need you to focus in.
Got it.
All right, here we go. Let's start. Let's talk about the main theme of this. We all just hit on it. Oklahoma State's rushing game so far. Super baffling part of their season. Return one of the nation's best running backs, if not the best, Hop, as you mentioned,
right,
plus an experienced offensive line. That's the other part of that. It wasn't just Ollie Gordon. That whole offensive line was back, yet they've really struggled to run the ball. Their run block grade versus Kansas State last week was the lowest against an opponent other than Oklahoma or Texas since at least 2014. I couldn't go back any further than 2014 on the PFF database. Lowest run block grade. Okay?
So K-State ate them up.
That's pretty historic right
there. That is. That's hard to believe.
This season, Oklahoma State has 3 games with a below 53 run block grade. Take out the Texas and Oklahoma games.
Right.
They only have 6 of those games over the last 10 seasons. Have 3 already this season. So they're having a historically bad season, according to PFF's numbers, running the football. Ollie Gordon has been hit at the line of scrimmage on 55% of his carries.
Oh.
That's the 12th highest rate in the country and the 2nd highest rate in the Big 12.
First time we hit him last year here was in the blue lot.
Correct. That hasn't happened so far this year.
So before everybody dumps on Ollie Gordon, he's got to have some help, right?
That's part of it.
Yeah.
That's part of it. But here's the other thing, though. This is also interesting. So much credit given to their offensive line returning everybody, but this isn't far off from last year's grading performance by that Oklahoma State line if you look at it. They were last season 103rd nationally in line push, but 20th in explosiveness, which means Ollie Gordon was doing a lot of it on his own. A lot of those big runs were him hitting the hole or getting through. By the way, that number's courtesy of Pick 6 Previews that has some good stuff inside it. But so the offensive line isn't a whole lot different from what it was last year, but I think that would surprise the Oak State folks that they have all those guys back and they didn't take a step forward.
I have a question.
Sir.
I'd be interested, not that I'm expecting you to have this, but I'd like to know what Gordon's yards after initial contact were last year compared to this year?
Oh, I've got it. I don't have it. I mean, I can get it while we're talking, but I got it.
Wouldn't that be? I mean, that'll probably tell a hell of a story,
Yeah.
right? Like last year, he was getting hit but went through. This year, I mean, okay. Anyway, we'll get to that.
Okay. West Virginia's run defense has actually been good against running backs prior to the Kansas game. They held Desmond Reed of Pitt in check, 25, 26 yards for him. Penn State's talented backs, they have that duo, Singleton and Katron Allen, held them mostly in check outside of that long Singleton run. Really 100 combined yards rushing for those two Penn State backs outside of the long run.
Right.
Now, quarterback scrambles have hurt this defense, but running backs have not. Now, I know they ran for a lot last week. Neil explained they were doing some more in the pass game to give up some run. But here's the thing. Quarterback scrambles shouldn't be a factor this week.
Bowman, not a flight risk.
Not a flight risk, hasn't run once in a scramble. Has not taken off and scrambled one time.
Good.
They ran a couple designed runs with him last week for whatever reason, but he just has not scrambled. So if he does this week, that will be something unusual. Now, as we mentioned, slowing the run game is obviously priority number one when you play Oklahoma State. You got a back like Gordon. You're going to say stop him and see if Alan Bowman can beat you through the air. That's what Utah and Kansas State did. They just said, okay, let's see if you can throw it to beat us. Now, here's what's interesting about their passing game. Much like their run game is bizarre in that the results don't back up what their experience was, passing game is interesting in that if you want to build a case that Alan Bowman's having a fantastic year, you can go pull out some statistics that tell you he is. If you want to say that Bowman's struggling a little bit, I can find things that show you Bowman's struggling. Yeah. So who is Alan Bowman this year? I think they're trying to figure this out. Here's some of those numbers, Hop. You ready?
Yep.
He's thrown for a ton of yards, nearly 1,600 of them to this point, third in the Big 12, and first in intended air yards.
Excuse me?
What's that?
Thank you, Hoppy. I wrote down the definition because I knew you would ask. I thought it would be you first, though.
I did.
Intended air yards, the total yards downfield for all throws, whether or not they were completed. So where you're trying to go with the ball. He leads the Big 12 in intended air yards.
So he's letting it go.
But here's what's very hit and miss. They had to pull him during the Utah game because he was struggling so badly.
Right.
Put him back in the Kansas State game. He's second in the Big 12 in interceptions. Hop, you mentioned his number 6 of them. He really should have a few more if you go off Pro Football Focus's turnover-worthy plays. So he has 6, probably should have a couple others. But here's where it gets difficult with him. You're likely not going to get many sacks. They lead the country in only giving up 1 sack so far this year. They did it last year, too. Only 3 sacks given up last year by Oklahoma State. Here's why. He'll get rid of it in a hurry. He's second in the Big 12 in dropbacks of less than 2.5 seconds. 64% of his dropbacks he releases within 2.5 seconds. So he's unloading, right? That leads the Big 12, or he also leads the Big 12 in touchdown passes on dropbacks less than 2.5 seconds. So he's going to get back there and try and get it out fast against this West Virginia zone. But if you can get pressure, then he's likely to struggle. Some numbers. Last week, Bowman was just 2 of 15 for 91 yards when under pressure from that Kansas State defense. 2 of 15. But when he wasn't, 24 of 35 for 273. Now, again, that's most quarterbacks, right? You put them under pressure, they're going to have problems. But particularly with him, because he's not going to scramble a ton, can you get home before he releases it? I thought last year, again, you didn't need him at the end of the game because Gordon was running wild, but I thought he did a nice job of managing that, getting the ball out, and you couldn't get home to him.
Yeah.
West Virginia's not getting a lot of sacks right now defensively, but they are getting some pressures. Can they affect him throwing the ball?
You need a good day from Sean Martin's arms. You know, if you're not going to touch him,
that's a good point. Yep.
Then you have to alter the throw by at least getting enough push to make him alter his pass.
Good one. Okay, here's something to keep in mind. We mentioned this earlier. The losses to Utah and Kansas State, Oklahoma State had saw those cornerbacks who were aggressive and got up and pressed man a lot more than what West Virginia plays. Here's some numbers for you. West Virginia's played zone 70% of the time on the season. Okay? 70% of the time. Utah has gone zone just 43% of the time. K-State just 40% of the time. So they felt comfortable with their defensive backs, which, as you mentioned, allows them to put more in the box and make Oklahoma State struggle with the run game. So you know he's going to get rid of it fast, which likely leads to balls underneath. When he tries to go deep, he being Alan Bowman, just 5 of 27 this season on passes of 20 yards or more.
Wow.
So he has not had success throwing it downfield. Underneath. Can West Virginia's coverage underneath be up to par? Has it gotten better?
Brad, on that, another stat what do they have on yards after catch? Because West Virginia's going to get frustrated because they're going to complete some passes underneath, and our guy's going to be tackled right away, or they're going to get yards after catch.
Well, that's what they make their hay off of, right? Because they're not having success deep. So their big pass plays, if you go back and watch the couple weeks, it'd be a glance route. Called a glance route, Hoppy, and you run that off an RPO when it's very successful.
They run RPO all the time.
When you got a single high safety, you're going to read that outside linebacker.
So you sit there and you hold it in and see if that safety drops down on you, or if he stays back, they cut underneath and they hit it. So West Virginia is going to have to stop that. Not only can you get there and bat it down, but can you get all over them if they happen to complete it? You're going to see that all day.
But to your point, you have to have an exceptional day of open field tackles. If you graze guys and let them go, their band's going to play.
And they run the RPO all day long.
Yes,
right.
Correct, and especially with that route. I mean, and that's really hard to stop because you've got to make a decision. Can your guys inside the box, your front seven, can they handle the running game on their own so the safeties can stay back and help with some coverage? Or are you going to need to commit someone else down in the box to help slow down Ollie Gordon, and then that's when they're going to go after you with those type of passes. Yeah. So really interesting to watch. That matchup to me, a at times struggling Oklahoma State pass game against at times a struggling West Virginia pass defense. Which of those comes through?
You know, Brad, it's that's really, really insightful, and it gets back to what we talk about. You're just not good enough. Most teams aren't to do everything. Right.
You got to. What can you live with?
Yeah.
What can you live with? Oklahoma State and Kansas. Kansas State and Utah wanted to make Alan Bowman in the passing game beat them, and Oklahoma State couldn't come through. How's West Virginia react? All right, flip over to the other side of the ball. You still with me, Hop? Because I got more numbers.
Oh, go.
You're doing a nice job, Brent.
Let's go to the other side. Oklahoma State's run defense. This is also really hard to figure out. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
They've given up the most rushing yards in the Big 12, Oklahoma State's defense. Mm-hmm. Most rushing yards in the Big 12. But they also have the most run stuffs in the league. You talk about a weird game.
All of these numbers that you're bringing up, at this moment, they're undefinable. Yeah. I truly believe that Oklahoma State at this moment is undefinable. Like, exactly what are you? And I think the same.
There's a lot of that for West Virginia.
Yeah, to a degree, you could make the same case for West Virginia.
Well, doesn't that mean inconsistent?
Sure.
Just inconsistency?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Not trend, but inconsistent?
But it's also this league, right? You're having trouble define what anybody is in this league. Everybody said UCF had the greatest rushing attack in the history of college football. Well, they hadn't played anybody. They get a good front seven or a front defensive line from Colorado that everybody said was no good, but they actually were good against run defense, and they absolutely locked up UCF and said, "Oh, is that right? You can't run the football." So that's his league. Yeah. How do you know? All right. So stay with me here on this run defense for Oklahoma State. Let's try and figure this out. So my guys over at Sports Info Solutions.
Who?
SIS.
Okay.
Sports Info Solutions. Tremendous database there. They have a couple of stats that help quantify those numbers even further. You ready?
Yeah.
Boom percentage.
Huh? Excuse me?
Boom percentage. The percentage of rushes that resulted in an EPA of at least 1. EPA, expected points added. Here's an easy definition. It means it's a very successful play for the offense. They also chart bust percentage. So it's the exact opposite. A very unsuccessful play for the offense. Okay? Oklahoma State's number 1 in the Big 12 in boom percentage, meaning offenses have more successful running plays against their defense than any other team in the league.
Wow.
They also lead in bust percentage, meaning they have more plays that result in a negative play or an unsuccessful play for the offense than any team in the league.
So they're
boom or bust.
They're absolutely feast or famine.
Feast or famine, boom or bust. So which of those happens on Saturday? Here's one to watch. You want to watch one?
Mm-hmm.
You want to watch one, boys?
A route?
This is the running game. Oklahoma State defense also has the highest boom percentage for opposing quarterbacks on scrambles or designed runs. So six might want to take off a few times tomorrow and see if that holds true. A lot of that comes from what Avery Johnson did to him last week, right? Very successful runner. But nearly 30% of quarterback runs against Oklahoma State have resulted in a very successful play for the offense. So almost a third of all quarterback run plays. That's the second most in the Big 12.
Well, last year,
Garrett probably wants to take off.
6 last year ran for $117 against them and averaged over 7 yards per tote. So that's, 6.
Put that right up there again. Okay. To your point, though, is who and what is West Virginia? It's running it well. West Virginia's running it pretty well, but it's not the number one team in the country like we saw by the end of last year. West Virginia is 10th out of 16 in Pro Football Focus run grade so far. Now, remember, you're early, and some of that has to do with schedule. I mentioned UCF that's running away with every rushing metric you can have. Well, they played New Hampshire and Sam Houston State. Put up 400 yards per game on the ground against them. All due respect to those two, of course.
Sure.
Then they opened Big 12 play, and things got a little bit different. So some of those numbers still maturing. West Virginia does have the third best run blocking grade in the Big 12, and it has the fifth best EPA per rush in the league. So doing well. Can it kick it up a notch against a struggling Oklahoma State run defense?
I'm with you 100%. Last year, what's interesting, I look back down on these numbers, it was Justin Johnson, who was the second leading rusher for the Mountaineers. He had 72. CJ had 39 yards on 13 carries and did score one of the 2 touchdowns. But I do agree with you. 2 of the 3 have to have big games. Garrett, I think I put Garrett in there. He's one.
Yes.
And then either C.J. Donaldson or Jaheim White, you gotta have a game.
CJ's playing really well. To me, the X factor wild card, and I'll go down on game 12 or 13, however many there are this year, saying this. Jaheim White's got to get going. That's part of the magic of this rushing offense is you don't know what the hell's happening. Is it going to be Garrett? Is it CJ? Is it Jaheim White? Now you got motion, you got jet sweeps. That's when this thing's at its best. So far, they haven't been able to get White unlocked and get those big runs.
He's bordering on a sophomore slump. He can still get himself out, but you go through halfway through the season and you're not putting up numbers like you expected and like he expected, then you're having one.
Well, remember, different circumstance. He went halfway through last year because he wasn't playing. So his big numbers from last year were in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll get greased up.
Yeah, you hope so. Be a great opportunity is sitting right here in front of him against a team that's struggling to stop the run.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's what I got.
That's excellent.
Those are really
Brent.
good. You got
Those are some good ones.
Yeah.
You said you could look up. Go ahead and look up that
What do you want to know?
Oliver Gordon. What was his yards after contact last year compared to what he's doing this year? I think that number will be pretty interesting. In other words, was he getting hit last year and then having great success? And then this year, I would make, obviously, based upon his numbers, he's not. He's not having great success after initial contact. So Brad will look that up.
Go ahead. Talk amongst yourselves.
I want to go back to those numbers, though, which are, we talked about inconsistent. And, Tony, I would think that's either, excuse me, you're just inconsistent. I'm talking about their defensive numbers. Or, guys not going where they're supposed to go. And, a guy makes a play because a guy makes a play, but then he goes the wrong way or he takes a play off or something. There are all kinds of reasons why that could be like that, right?
I agree, and I think that you can give the West Virginia the benefit of the doubt up until this point by saying, hey, you had to play 2 Power 5s, you played Penn State, you played Pitt, you had Pitt beat, you blew the game, it was there for you. Okay, so let's skew the numbers a little bit. That's done. You also had a bye week, okay? So what they do here on Saturday, that's basically who they are. I truly believe that.
Really?
I truly believe that. You're playing against a team that right now is struggling. It's not going to get any easier than this going forward. And this is who you are. So if you don't defend the pass well, you're not going to. If you don't pound them on the ground against a team that's struggling to run the ball, then you're probably not going to going forward. I truly believe it. What do I always say? I say this. People get way early. They get too excited after the first game or second game. I always say, give it a month. I always say that. Be fair, give it a month. Now I'm saying, I gave you a month, and I gave you an off week. Now, what you put out on that field is who you are.
Well, the same would apply for Oklahoma State. This is their 6th game in a row. They haven't had it off week.
Let me tell you
the
something.
situation's about as good as you can get for a situation.
They've had two of the most physical teams in the league, K-State and Utah.
Yes.
They just played them. They should be hurt a little bit. They should be banged up a little bit.
And consecutive games, and you're coming off a bye week.
Yes.
Okay, here, you want some numbers?
Yeah, I like this yards after. I'm really looking forward to this.
So this is interesting. Last year, almost 50% of his yards were after contact. 900 of his total 1,737.
Because he's so big and strong.
Yeah.
Okay. So 50%-ish. All right.
I'm just looking at something else.
What do you do?
He was 6th in the league in broken tackles last year.
Okay.
He was 2nd in just missed tackles.
Okay. That's some guys that didn't want to tackle him.
No.
But, and I had looked this up before, 76% of his rushing yards this year are after contact. Because he's getting hit. He's getting hit further.
Early.
He only has 0.6 yards on average before he's contacted. That's the 9th lowest in the country.
So they're getting,
people are getting in up on him.
He's getting blowed up.
He's getting blowed up.
He's getting blowed up early.
And it's the same offensive line?
Same guys. Here's some speculation.
What's that?
They quietly have always had a really good, what they used to call a cowboy back, which was a tight end. And that tight end would help their run game a ton. Don't think they're having the same productivity from that tight end spot this year, and as a result, that has not benefited them. That has hurt their running game.
Okay.
West Virginia runs the ball a lot because Traylon Davis comes across that formation, and he'll take your cavities out for you. And people, that goes unnoticed, right?
Right.
But they have not had great tight end play.
Gordon leads the league in missed tackles, and he's 2nd in the league in broken tackles this year.
And he's a horse.
I'm sorry, leads the league in both those. Leads in broken and leads in missed.
Yeah, he's a horse.
Mm-hmm. So there you go.
That was really good. Spreads on
Really
Stats
good.
brought to us by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers.
His off week was, very productive.
Yeah, very productive. You know what they say?
What?
You give Brent an extra week to prepare, and he'll beat anybody.
Exactly.
I'm just going to play the whole damn song. I got vibe. Textual Healing. Yeah. Brought to us by episode800.com. That's the location where you can purchase just so much of our stuff. All of our stuff is there. Later on in this episode of Textual Healing, I'm also going to let you know of a new item.
Excuse me?
That's on there. Yeah, we got a new item coming up. Check it out. All right. Here's what I'd like you to do. If you come up to a game, I would love for you to visit the Three Guys Before the Game food court, which is located on University Avenue right next to Daniel's Men's Store. Because great things happen there. Global things happen there. Global.
Yes.
Things happen there, and that's not an exaggeration. And let me tell you a little bit about what I'm talking about. During the last Three Guys, we debuted, we had our beer out there for the second time, Connection 304 from Parkersburg Brewing, right? And I also said on a recent episode, wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be kind of neat if someone stuck, why aren't they, what I said was, why aren't they serving Connection 304 in Munich at Oktoberfest?
Jeez,
that's what I said. Why wouldn't it?
You.
Right? Well, as anyone that's a listener of this show, I make stuff happen.
You make stuff up.
You are looking at the Lowenbrow Beer House, whatever they call them, at Oktoberfest. And guess what? There it is. Inside look.
What?
Oh, what do we have here? Friends of the podcast.
Achterlieben.
A professor from WVU took a 6-pack of Connection 304.
What?
Look, yeah. And also, this is for real. So they took it over in a 6-pack. They brought it into the Lowenbrow beer joint.
They let you do that?
BYOB.
Yeah. And
Bring their own beer to Oktoberfest.
Homeless Dave says that Lowenbrow has now named Connection 304 as its sister beer of the United States, unconfirmed. Unconfirmed. So there you go. And right there, gentlemen, is this a wild boar that Scopes got in Monroe County that has now been memorialized in Germany?
Look,
Connection
304 was right by his hoof.
Yeah, he put a can of beer right there.
He just finished drinking that.
So Connection 304 has arrived at Oktoberfest.
That one's awake though.
Good to see you. Thank you very much.
Wasn't sleeping. So how do you transport?
Put it in a suitcase.
That's exactly what I
That's
said.
That's not a hard one. Heck, we can bring fig trees over from Italy. We can take we can put a 6-pack of beer in a suitcase. So thanks for doing that.
Very nice. International.
Also, the koozies are arriving, and they will be available at the food court on October. There they are. there they are. People have asked for them. Koozies, 3 Guys koozies available during the Iowa State, October 11 and 12. As always, we practice scarcity while supplies last. They will be there.
We'll have some more. We've reloaded the hats, too. We sold out of those hats at the last food court.
Yeah.
We'll have those as well.
Did you sell out?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to the people that have been drinking. Connection 304 continues to get great ratings, hovering around a 4.0 on Untappd, with more and more reviews happening. Everyone's enjoying the beer. And
I looked the other day at the Kroger. Still not in the Kroger, right?
yeah, it's got to get there. We're still back. We're efforting
Okay.
on that. Food court Friday and Saturday this week.
Not this week.
A week from now when we play Iowa State. And they will make sure that there's enough beer there. We may have to allocate 6-packs to 2 per person, but we will do that. Also, unconfirmed, Hudson Clement's dad will play, will perform. He's a musician. He'll perform at the food court October 11. That'll be the
Murphy Clement's dad as well.
Yeah, he would be
Yes.
Murphy's dad as well. Yeah. His name is Mike Clement.
Happy
So
to
Mike
have
is
him.
going to perform a set or 2 at the food court, and a few more
Yeah,
surprises.
he's a regular at the food court. He and his wife
I
are
wonder
regulars.
why not.
He's playing when? The day of the Iowa State game on Saturday?
No, Friday.
Friday, okay. During the happy hour portion of it.
I mean, we're missing Anthony Straw. I mean, Oliver's dad
hope-
went back to Australia. He'll be back.
He
Hope
left.
he comes back.
Yeah, he'll come back, though.
Hey, another side note there on the Iowa State game. That's, of course, the Coal Rush game, debuting those black, they are sweet, black helmets, black uniforms. Your Coal Rush headquarters would be over at Fine Looking Phil's, of course.
yeah, we were in
Daniels.
there.
What do they have?
Everything.
Everything. So I was doing my shift. I was in there, clocked in Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning
Per usual.
Yeah.
Enjoyed meeting Rob from Fairmont. He was there looking for his Coal Rush stuff. Wanted to be one of the first ones
Sorry,
out.
I missed him.
Well, you just missed Rob, and you also missed Jeremy from Petersburg, who listens to the podcast. He was on his way to work in Fairmont, came through and wanted to stop, picked up a few items from
I was over
from
there.
Phil's.
I was
You
over
just missed Jeremy. You missed Rob by a while. He was already cleared. You missed Jeremy.
So they have black shirts.
Shirts,
Everything.
quarter zips.
Hoodies.
They
and
got it all.
They got it all?
Beautiful
They got it all.
stuff. Soft stuff.
Coal Rush headquarters.
So everybody's supposed
Swing
to
over.
dress in black for the game.
Correct.
Okay.
But anyway, thanks to those guys. It was good fun talking to those guys.
Well, your shift.
Part of my shift.
Yeah, I know.
Had to stop folding for a minute there, Kurt.
Our first textual healing message is very significant. 3 Guys, I'm reaching out from Asheville, North Carolina. It has been an incredibly difficult week. My family and I are safe. No electricity or water, but cell service was restored. Please remember in your prayers folks in our area far worse off than my family. I have seen and heard things this week that are indescribable. I have been out of the loop regarding any news, but may try to access your Oklahoma State game preview via the cellular network. I'm guessing that will be Thursday. I need to hear some familiar voices of home. Go Mountaineers. Much love, Jay in Asheville, North Carolina. And this ties right into this one. Todd from Milton. Again, always a West Virginia connection. I'm a travel nurse. I'm currently living in California. I just started renting a new place. And when I met the owners of the apartment, they asked if I went to WVU, which I said, yeah. They then asked if I was a Charles Wesley Godwin fan, which, of course, I said, yeah. The whole family are big WVU fans now because of how much they like Charles Wesley Godwin. They even showed me their merchandise with the flying WV they had recently bought. They will be turning into 3 Guys fans, hopefully. Now, along that line, Charles took on his website where he sells his merchandise for Asheville, because he's had great dates in Nashville or Asheville where he has played multiplication. So what he did was he took 100% of everything he sold on his website, merchandise, and donated 100% for a 48-hour period. And that's now elapsed. And he ended up selling just a whisker under $18,000 worth of stuff that he's donating to Asheville.
Wow.
So thanks to Charles for doing that.
Thanks to Jay for checking in, too, there.
Absolutely.
Glad he's safe.
Yeah.
You know, Tony, that's horrific, and West Virginians can relate to how bad that is. We've had some bad flooding in West Virginia, not so much with this storm, but with previous storms. So I know West Virginia is very empathetic to what's happened in western North Carolina. It's just unimaginable. One other note, not nearly as bad as the Asheville area, but Mercer County got hit hard with high winds and electricity outages.
Mm-hmm.
So as of today, when we're recording, there were still 5,000 homes in Mercer County without without power, and several thousands, according to the city manager I talked to today, thousands of trees came down, and still, almost a week later, they still have about 5,000 people without power. So the folks in Mercer County are struggling too.
Yeah.
Not as bad, not nearly as bad as Asheville, obviously, and no loss of life, but still issues there.
Producer Austin, I jumped ahead 2 pages because there were 2 ones that we already read on a previous show. We read about the guy in Bulgaria, right? We did that one?
I don't think so.
No.
All right, fine. Let me do it.
I've
I've got an ultimate West Virginia connection story for you guys, but I wanted to start with my connection to Tony. When I was an undergrad at WVU, I student taught both of your boys at Suncrest Elementary. Of course, that's the home of the Fighting Seals. It's wild to see you guys now doing shows with him. It makes me realize how long ago I was enrolled at West Virginia. Great memories. Now on to my connection story. I was recently in Paris post-Olympics, and as someone who frequents the top 50 bars in the world list, look it up for your travels. I made a reservation at the Little Red Door number 6 in the third, what is that, Hoppy? Arrondissement?
I can't.
I don't know. Anyway.
Street.
I sat at the bar to enjoy a cocktail. Stay with me here. Our bartender starts mixing drinks, and we get to talk. He's about 6'3", tight end build from Bulgaria. We talk about the Olympics, sports, and spirits. Then he asked me if I played American football, and I returned the same question. Turns out he played 7-on-7 full contact football in Bulgaria.
Lined up.
Worked with an organization called PPI. That's the same one that Eddie Vesterinen came through. Before I can even finish my thought, he says, I was being recruited by, you guessed it, West Virginia, the Bulgarian bartender in Paris. My jaw hits the floor, or miraculously, my martini. Sorry for the long one, but your words about West Virginia connections always rings true. It's incredible how far the flying WV reaches. Keep up the good work. Yeah, that's exactly why we created the beer.
Can you rush the passer?
Yeah, really.
That's that organization run by Brandon Collier, of course.
Yeah.
You knew that, though.
You remember from Gordy from Massachusetts that left our mouths agape about his John Beeline story and how it got him into coaching?
Yeah.
Well, he comes back and he says, I appreciate you guys sharing my text with Coach Beeline and the kind words on your show. You guys are the connective tissue between regular guys like myself and coaching legends. I had one major omission from my story I'd like to add. During my time in grad school at West Virginia, I met and befriended Adam Hughes, the long snapper for the Mountaineers during the 07-08 seasons. I remember. He was Pat McAfee's long snapper. After grad school, I hired him to work with me. He moved up to Massachusetts. I'm blessed and honored to have been named his first son's godfather, been in his wedding, and call him my best friend.
Gordy's all over this.
When I take my children to West Virginia, October 19 against K-State, Adam and his sons are going to come in for the weekend with us. Wonderful homecoming for Adam and I, and a chance to show off the university that changed our lives to our wives and kids. It's Adam's first time back to campus since he played here. My gosh.
Wow.
The best part? We are taking a brand new Lou Wendell Marine G3 pontoon boat from Cape Cod to Morgantown. You three are appreciated more than you realize for the work that you do. Direct impact. Gordy from Massachusetts.
Well done, Gordy.
Wow.
Well, he's had some connections.
I'll say.
Yeah. Texter. Hey, three guys. Matt in Louisville. Last weekend, my girlfriend and I went to Bourbon and beyond to watch Charles Wesley Godwin jam out. We both wore some West Virginia gear to the festival. Now, I live in Louisville, and she still lives back home, and so she hasn't experienced that 304 connection. I told her to be ready for her, and so let's go. Oh, wait a second. I told her to be prepared to hear some let's goes and where you from. She didn't believe me, but no sooner than walking in the gates, we hear our first let's go. Mm-hmm. We asked about 20 times if we were from West Virginia and where we were from. Great time. And Charles put it down.
Of course he did.
Put it down, big man.
I was with Charles this past weekend.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. He was at Pepper Day.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a musical conversation. Had a big disagreement.
Excuse me?
No, he and I didn't disagree. We agreed. Who is the most transformative American band that transformed music?
I got to think about that. I don't want to just.
So we took the American off, and someone that I'm not going to mention his name because it really doesn't. I don't want to hurt his character. but he said the Beatles were not a transformative band. They talk about transformative.
Well, the Beatles absolutely were.
From She Loves Me, yeah, 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 to Strawberry Fields. And are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So Charles, he said, if you qualified down to me, he said he would have to put Nirvana in that category as transformative. But anyway, I'll let you think about it.
Yeah.
This is a wild picture. Speaking of Oktoberfest, Joe and Paula Oliverio representing the old gold and blue for West Virginia. Look at this, Hop. In Munich's Oktoberfest, they were with 14 other friends and 7.2 million new ones.
Jeez.
So that's Joe, long-time Morgantown native, Parkersburg resident. He's got the flying WV on that gold shirt right toward the left-hand side near the breast.
There are more people from West Virginia at Oktoberfest than are still in the state.
Stunner.
Well, they're here, they're at Myrtle Beach, and they're at Oktoberfest.
I mean, they're at Oktoberfest like it's happening in Fairmont.
I know.
Joe used to be a longtime high school official here in West Virginia. Surprised he didn't wear an official's uniform, walk around there. But thank you, Joe and wife, Paula. Hope you guys had a wonderful time. Texter, Scope Senator Hoppy. Me and the missus, both class of 1980 alums, traveling to Stillwater to see the world champion Mountaineers. Oklahoma will be number 47 on my quest to visit all 50 states. Hope to see my friend of the show, Mr. Joe Mock there, signed by Steve P. from Ellicott City, Maryland. Texter, how about this picture? Flatwoods GoMart at the end of the rainbow. That's Flatwoods and got a rainbow
That's
there.
a bright one.
Going right. It looks like a second one next to it.
Yeah.
And a double.
Absolutely.
Now, was Hoppy at that one?
I was at a lot of them.
I mean, you went on the tour.
I was on the
last bye week.
The
so
GoMart
you just said
tour.
during the bye week, just going to drive around the state, going to go to different GoMarts.
Exactly.
Where you were, Nettie was one of them.
Nettie.
There he is.
Yeah,
there he
it
is.
is.
There he is. There's how.
Yeah. Same day. You hit a Nettie.
Yeah.
Then where else did you hit?
Summersville.
No, Flatwoods.
Flatwoods?
Was it Flatwoods?
You
The world headquarters?
I was at the world headquarters in Flatwoods. That's the Flatwoods one, I think.
The other one was Nettie.
Go back to I think the other one was Nettie.
Well, there's two GoMarts in Flatwoods.
Right
side
next
by
to each
side.
other.
Well,
Yeah,
that was
that's what you meant.
Yeah.
That's the one in Nettie.
Yeah, that is Nettie. That's
Well
right,
done.
right before you make the turn.
Well done. Just driving around the state. Checking
Stop
out
at a
GoMarts.
GoMarts.
Yeah.
I'll go walk in, get some candy.
Go in, get a snack.
Let me tell you
Use
something.
the restroom.
Yeah, let me tell you something about the GoMarts here, folks. Is your tailgating strategy falling flat? That is the question. GoMart, ready to help you score big. Check this out. It's a contest. Enter for a chance to win the ultimate tailgating package. You get $200 in a GoMart gift card. You get tailgating supplies, a pop-up tent, a portable grill, and a cooler. Stop by your local GoMart, scan the QR code in the store to enter. Don't forget, the contest stops on October 31st, Halloween. So do it before that. For more details, check out the GoMart app or visit GoMart.com.
So I've got to head over and get gas probably later today. So I'll go cash in my fuel reward points there that I have, Hop. But you got a deal on candy. New month here. This is interesting.
Okay.
This is the first I've heard of this.
Big
First
candy,
I've heard of this.
Big candy takeover.
Big candy takeover. $1 off on Halloween candy, okay?
Already?
There's 2 different Halloween candies. So you can get off on the pumpkins, the Reese's pumpkin shapes, which we know, awesome.
Yes.
Have not seen these before. Snickers pumpkins.
Huh?
Excuse me?
Snickers in the shape of a pumpkin, not in the bar, the traditional bar.
Are they
How
orange?
big are they?
Are they orange?
No, they're not orange.
How big are they? Like how round? Like is it a
Kind of. They appear. I have not had
Bite
one. They appear to be
size?
the size of the Reese peanut butter cup.
really like a?
I'm gonna have to go and talk to my guys. Should I just go and start yelling again?
Yes.
Just walk in
No,
and say,
go in and- no,
where are the Snickers pumpkins?
Well, at least say hello to people before you start yelling for things.
I mean, when I say yelling, I'm not yelling at them. I'm just like, can I get
Yelling with them.
I need some help.
Texter driving
$1 off those, Kurtzwell. It's
a good deal.
Driving and listening to the Open Week Musings episode, I couldn't help but laugh when I heard the studio thermostat was set at 73 degrees Fahrenheit.
Kurtzwell's fault.
My classroom thermostat is set at 68 year-round. I teach high school math, and I use it as a way to keep my students awake.
Yep.
Plus, I always run hot, so it helps both ways. When they complain, I explain to them that I sat through the 2005 Pitt game, and until their feet are numb up to their ankles, I don't want to hear them complain. Coldest I've ever been in my entire life.
Was cold.
Best bet is to buy a thermostat with a child lock to keep Hoppy from jacking up the temperature on you guys. Keep up the good work. The assumed mayor of Eleanor.
I haven't touched.
It's only the
thermostat.
3 of us in here, and it's not us. Who else is in here?
Well, it's open. It's an open area. There's
So
not
you
a
think
lock
people
on the
are
door.
just coming down from other places and turning it up and then leaving?
Obviously. I am not. I touch the thermostat once a month.
Those darn people on the second floor just coming down, messing with the
Yeah.
thermostat.
Let's go down and check the thermostat.
Hey, let's go turn the thermostat up in the studio.
Virtual denying.
I'm not touch the thermostat.
Turn it down today, in fact.
Well, I didn't touch it. I'm glad it feels comfortable. It was warm during my show. I didn't touch it.
All right.
Falsely accused.
Heath from Baltimore. Too long. So I'm just going to skim. Did you see the end of the Virginia Tech-Miami game?
Yes.
Did you think there was enough to overrule the call?
No way. Horrific. Real quick on this. I won't get locked in on this. I don't think this is getting enough attention. This is the stuff that makes us crazy. So ruled a touchdown on the field by Virginia Tech that should have won the game. They go to replay, okay? Indisputable evidence, right? For the life of me, I don't understand this, Hop. Shouldn't there be a shot clock on those reviews? If it's indisputable, you know. You look at it, you see it. You can't spend 3, 4, 5 minutes reviewing this because that's by very definition not indisputable. There is 0% chance there was enough to overturn that call. And they went against what the rules were and overturned it anyway. It was just totally arbitrary. Now, I don't know that a touchdown catch was the correct call either.
Oh, really?
I don't know how they saw that, but they did, in fact, rule it a touchdown catch. Therefore, it's got to be indisputable. And it wasn't. And they just went off of that and said, nope, overruled. There was no way there was enough to overturn that. Whatever was called on the field should have stood. Terrible. It can't happen.
You know
if
what
that's
else?
your rule, that cannot happen.
My buddy Bill.
And I only care because at some point that's going to happen during a West Virginia game.
No question.
My
I
buddy,
don't care if Tech wins or loses. Couldn't care less what happens to Miami. Don't care about either of those. But you can't. The mechanics of that replay were awful.
my buddy Bill, who broadcast those games for the Gobblers, he said what really screwed you up because they have those LED lights there. They shut the lights off. So he says mayhem breaks out.
What do you mean?
They shut the lights off when like was it a touchdown? Was it not a touchdown? They shut the lights off. They start running around. They take the field, storm the field. Like the lights are off. Is there a replay? Like the Big 12 ever since we told you since the Oklahoma game last year. Like you can't shut the lights off after a touchdown because hell breaks out.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen, if you can't tell on replay, don't guess. That's not that provocative of a statement. They guessed.
Was it so? It was not clear though.
Oh, it couldn't have been less clear. Clear as mud. You couldn't tell if they had it or not. So they ruled a touchdown. Should be a touchdown.
Yeah.
There's no way you could have seen it. All right, move along.
Thanks, Brent. He also wants to know, do you think that the bad calls early on this season is due to conference realignment with referee crews now having to call games above their talent? You could go on that for 10 hours. Lastly, Tony, did you enjoy your bottle of Chianti? I assume you drank it with your birthday dinner. P.S. Your birthday is a day after my dad's, 3 days before mine, and 4 days before my late grandmother's. I hope you paired it with a nice meal. Maybe some Tudor's biscuits, Rev Kev's barbecue, or your own home-cooked. I'm sure it would go well with some of your world-famous bread, San Marzano tomatoes, olive oil made from olives that I'm sure you snuck past customs and are growing next to your tomatoes. I haven't opened it yet. I'm going to save it.
Are both bottles still upstairs?
No, I think I brought one home.
So there's one still upstairs?
I think I got it.
I was going to take that other one home because Brent didn't want it.
Texter, love the show, you guys. I've been a Mountaineer fan since I was 11 years old. As I've said in a previous message, I'm now a youth pastor, assistant football coach. My early years of coaching, I had the opportunity to coach and scheme for a young Sean Martin his senior year at Bluefield. Let me tell you, it wasn't easy. He destroyed every scheme we had planned for him. I loved seeing him develop into the player he is today from that night. I feel like if he can play like we all know he can and have a game like he did against Kansas, he and T.J. Jackson are going to eat up Ollie Gordon and put Bowman into a place he's never been before. I believe we're about to see the season we knew it was about to be. Hang on, Mountaineer Nation. It's going to be good. Signed by Jason. Texter.
I'll tell you what, Sean had a massive play on that second-to-last offensive series for Kansas.
Yep.
Busted through there, blowed up that third down play.
Oh, he came to my backside.
That front has really established itself, Brad. And if it can do that against Ollie Gordon, you got a great chance.
Well, T.J. Jackson's been outstanding in particular,
Yeah.
right? Has led the bit power four in pressures heading into last week.
Three guys, I'm listening on the off-week Thursday show. I noticed Tony, usually the reserved Costas-like voice from my youth and childhood, show a rare moment and acknowledge the jackwagons. A $20 million payout for student athletes, it's a lot, undoubtedly. While it is the biggest concern, How does paying your operating costs as well as that new obligation look with your main revenue sport collecting a 5 or 6 win season? I used to be a bigger donor when Dana was here. He seems to be one of the more polarizing coaches. I found him genuine, and to be fair, he was in a tough scenario to start here. There are only so many donors who can give the amounts that West Virginia needs. When Neil came, we got less access with an ask for twice as much and less wins. I let my dollars speak like some of my peers. Only time will tell. Alan in Morgantown. What's that mean? You got less access with Neil?
I don't know what that means.
You don't get to drink with him? Is that what it is? What's less access mean? Jeremy in Liberty. Thank you to whoever efforted and got the koozies completed and on episode 800, assuming it was Brad. That was Homeless Dave. They look awesome. Can't wait to use them at a watch party or the next West Virginia game I attend. Texter just wanted to point out that West Virginia is 9-4 in its last 13 Big 12 games. Let's make it 17-4. Signed by Mike from the Thumb of Michigan. Texter, Tucker DeVries' interview was fantastic. He's got it. He's humble to a fault. Clearly going to be a coach on the floor. Excited to watch this team, Chris and Weirton. Texter, I just finished Sunday's podcast, and I couldn't help but notice that the way Tucker talks and chuckles and his cadence of his speech sounds a lot like Three Guys' own Nate Adrian.
Really?
It's a bit quieter, breathy way of talking with some little chuckles mixed in. Agree, or am I just not fully awake here on the West Coast this Monday morning? Obviously, he says Nate's got a fairly thick West Virginia accent, which is terrific, but in terms of the cadence and the little chortle and kind of clipped shorter answers under his breath, they sound very familiar. Thank you, Curtis in Portland.
Huh.
And another texter comes in and says, Tucker sounds so much like Nate Adrian. I didn't hear.
Did you catch that? I didn't notice that.
So he's Nate Adrian's doppelganger?
He could be.
Where is Nate? Have they started?
Japan.
He's overseas in Japan.
Japan?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a change.
Yeah, he drove too. Through 4 games, Geno Smith is first in the NFL among quarterbacks in passing yards, passing attempts, total completions. He's also second in completion percentage and passing yards per game. I can't wait for that summer series episode.
He'd be a great one.
It would be.
He's having a heck of a year. Good for him.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
So this is an incredible story, isn't it?
We talked about this on Sportsline, Tony. It just shows how where you go has a lot to do with your success or not at the next level. Dude
he can throw
it as well.
Oh, my gosh.
Right? He's been around a long time, and he is throwing that as well as anybody in the league.
Hey, 3 guys, just wanted
start
to
out in the right spot, Kirchhoff.
Hey, 3 guys, just wanted to share a little story. After almost 26 years in higher education at various institutions in this state, I have landed at the West Virginia Higher Education Policy Commission, hopefully until I retire. Imagine my surprise when I started this summer to find out that I have to complete quarterly efforting reports. I literally laughed out loud, not meaning to, and my predecessor looked around trying to figure out why. I told her I was sorry, and we moved on. But bad news for Brad. Evidently, the word efforting was not a new term to the Mountain State, as my predecessor has told me. She has been doing these efforting reports, but she wrote it down as effing reports, for at least 15 years, if not longer. Sorry, Brad. But guess what? But guess what I can wear to work at least 4 times a year now?
There you go.
That's good.
Efforting.
My husband and I listen and watch regularly and look forward to each episode. Hope to catch the food court one day. I missed out last year. You guys weren't at the home game that we attended. I'm heading up today to see my daughter at West Virginia. She's in grad school, and we'll listen along the way. Thanks for all the stats and the laughs. Tara, or Tara.
Tara.
You'd go Tara on that instead of a Tara?
Yeah, I'd go Tara.
Tara.
I think I'd go Tara.
Tara? T-A-R-A.
Probably Tara. I do know a Tara that's spelled like that, though.
Yeah, that's why you don't know. Tara, next time, could you give us a phonetic? No, just did. P.S. Tell Hoppy I never had 3 longs and a short for a phone number, but I do 100% remember the party line. I would totally buy that T-shirt, by the way.
Thank you, Tara.
Hey, guys, Kathy in Marlington. Long but funny story. I missed the Kansas State game because I was heading to Seattle to embark on an Alaskan cruise, but because it was game day, I was decked out in my West Virginia gear, so she must have met the Kansas game. My sister and I caught our Seattle hotel's airport shuttle along with 8 other people. While we're getting off at the motel, she overheard a young lady ask her friend, "I wonder if that lady could sing Country Roads." She assured them that I could. Then while waiting to check in, I heard, "Are you from West Virginia?" Yep. Turns out 2 other West Virginia couples had been on the same bus. They're from Charleston and Taze Valley areas, heading for a different Alaskan cruise. 6 of the 10 people on that shuttle were from West Virginia.
No.
Now, I had a couple more West Virginia apparel items in my suitcase, and the first night of the cruise, 2 ladies walked past me, and they said, "Hey, West Virginia, where are you from?" I said, "Pocahontas County." Those ladies were from neighboring Greenbrier County. 2 nights later, while relaxing and playing Scrabble in a bar area, another woman walked up to our tail and said, "Now, these are my people." Our first thought was that she was a Scrabble fan, but nope, a Florida resident originally from Nicholas County, another neighboring county. On the 6th evening of the cruise, we passed by the Greenbrier County crew and heard, "West Virginia." We acknowledged each other, and as I turned, there was yet another woman in a West Virginia hoodie. Upon asking her where she was from, she replied, "Oh, I'm not from West Virginia. My husband travels all over for work, and he brings me a shirt from wherever he goes. I always wonder why every time I wear this hoodie, I hear people comment something about West Virginia." I laughed and explained to her that wearing the flying WV is just like wearing a strong magnet that will always attract West Virginians. So there is always a West Virginia connection, even when there is not.
Can I give you a couple of connection stories?
Well, sure.
So 2 of them. This week, Senator Shelley Moore Capito brought the nation's relatively new archivist.
Excuse me?
Keeper of the National Archives. Keeper of the National Archives to Morgantown and to go to the WVU library and the regional library there. And her husband is from West Virginia.
The archivist?
The archivist's husband. Her name is Dr. Colleen Shogun, Shugan, Shogun. And her
I believe that's pronounced Tara.
And her husband is from West Virginia.
How about that?
Okay. Now, the other one is, I interviewed this week because he was speaking at Shepherd University, is Ray Mabus. Ray Mabus is the former governor of Mississippi, former ambassador to Saudi Arabia, and former secretary of the Navy. So we had a very, very good interview, very intelligent guy, has a lot of life experiences. And at the end, I said, "Well, listen, welcome to West Virginia. We love company in West Virginia." He said, "I live in West Virginia."
Excuse me? Mabus is in West Virginia?
Well, Ray Mabus, he lives in Harper's Ferry.
My goodness.
I said, "Well, next time I'm over that way, I'm from over there."
Well, sure,
So
you
we started
told him.
coming.
Summit Point?
I said, "I'll stop by." He said, "Well, stop by." So I'm going to have to go by Ray Mabus's house. Former governor of Mississippi, now lives in West Virginia.
Of course he does. Why wouldn't he?
Of course he does.
That's pretty wild. So he chose it just to kind of get out of the D.C. Beltway thing?
Well, as an Eastern Panhandle person, you get a lot of those D.C. folks, get out of D.C. You're still close enough. You can take the train, you can drive in, but it's a beautiful area, and they just settle in that Jefferson County.
And when you take that train over from the Eastern Panhandle, you got to get yourself one of these.
Yeah.
This is the Tudor's Biscuit World camo mug. Harvey's got one over there, too. You buy this just once. Brad, you know how this works?
Yeah. Buy it once.
You buy it once.
Right, and you get refills.
And you get refills for the price of a small drink every time you go in there.
Of course you do.
So why wouldn't you?
This thing's about 20 ounces or something.
24.
24?
Yeah, it's 24 ounces. And speaking of Tudor's Biscuit World, when I go to Stillwater this weekend, I'm going to look for land.
Excuse me? Why?
Because I'm thinking, they have franchise opportunities available. I don't think the good folks, look at that one. Like, if you're interested, they've got over 70 locations right now, but they are currently talking to folks about franchising Tudor's Biscuit locations.
Yeah,
I'm going to look. I'm going to look
Go to
for
Stillwater and see.
Well, I don't
Over
think
there a few times a year.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a biscuit in the state of Oklahoma as good as Tudor's
I'm
biscuit.
sure there's not.
Not
right?
possible.
All due respect to the biscuits.
Well,
of
because the
Oklahoma.
world champion biscuits are from West Virginia.
Correct.
So it's not
Well
possible.
documented.
Yeah.
So start your day the homemade way with Tudor's Biscuit World, and they are currently talking to folks about franchise opportunities. Just contact Tudor's Biscuit World, and you, whether it's Stillwater or Sutton, wherever you want it to be, you can get in there.
What's their thing there? What's their food? What's their thing?
Oh, I bet you
Barbecue?
They're big biscuit. Yeah, barbecue and biscuit gravy people.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah,
They're like us.
yeah, very much.
We're like them.
How about this? This one blew me away. This just came in late. Picture from Logan County. This big boar.
Oh my gosh!
Look at this thing. This
What?
I saw this before.
Hoppy, dude got that yesterday, 2 days ago, October 1 in Logan County.
Is that one where they're holding the boar near the camera, so like a fish, so it looks big? Or,
That is a big pig.
My gosh!
This big boar might make Scopes drop his gun and run up a tree. Yes, it would.
It's an elephant. What is that thing?
It's a baby elephant. That's a mean-ass animal, too. Like, we had David McCormick on. You know David's from Logan County.
Old Dave?
Yeah.
Old Dave, yeah.
And he's gone there and hunted those things. He said, they will hurt you.
I'm sure.
They will hurt you. That's real. So whoever that is that got that big old pig, congratulations.
Huge. What does that thing weigh?
That thing right there, oh my God.
500 pounds?
I was going to say
400?
300 to 400 pounds, I would think.
Ooh.
Yeah, a lot of ham.
Lined up.
Stay out of the way of that.
Texter, Three Guys Mania continues to grow. Last week, while moderating a political discussion with two prominent members of the West Virginia legislature, Hoppy rebutted one of their statements with the bombshell that I'll be able to tell my grandchild about. With all due respect. Signed by AJ from the Greenbrier.
So that's why I wasn't here for Tucker DeVries. I was at this event at the Greenbrier interviewing some of the political leaders of West Virginia at invitation of the West Virginia Hospital Association. And at some point I did, Brad, I gave him with all due respect. I gave an all due respect.
Now, were they talking about Rutgers or were they talking about something else? Another subject?
So then, too much information, we take a break and I'm in the restroom. And in comes AJ, and he stands beside me, and we're talking. He goes, hey, man, I cut your all due respect. And I said to him, or he said to me, I said, because I had another segment coming up, I said, I'll try to get in an efforting. But I didn't.
You're not going to make
should
it.
have.
You're not going to make it with me and Brent until you give a tongue click during the debate. Oh, is that right? I'll tell you something.
He got a big kick out of that, all due respect. And I did it not
Right.
just that.
Right. You weren't doing it like we do it here.
No, but I think because we do it so much, it just came out naturally. All due respect.
Professor Vinny's nervous. He thinks this is going to be Oklahoma State's get-right game, where they get right.
Might be.
Doug from Sutton, Three Guys. This question may or may not be one of you can answer or will answer. Does Jaheim have an undisclosed injury like they tried to keep CJ's quiet last year? No. I can tell you that. If they do, I haven't heard a whimper of that. Rick from Cheat Lake. He's probably got a Lou Wendell pontoon going over there.
Yeah.
Come on, Three Guys. I was listening to Sportsline. I heard an ad for the podcast. In the ad, Brad says, we'll take your calls, text, or tweets. I remember when Brad would get on Tony for not responding to tweets, but phone calls? I've been listening for a long time, and I never heard you take a call. I think it's past time to update that ad. What say you, Rick from Cheat Lake?
True.
Yeah,
we did used to have a voicemail line. That's what the text line
I used-
started
Oh,
as.
yeah, that's right.
I would go in there, and I'd edit the things, and then it just got like, nah, forget that.
Yeah.
We don't have work. I mean, we don't have a crew.
We are staff.
Yeah, I mean, Homeless Dave, if we didn't have Homeless Dave, we wouldn't have two nickels, right?
Where is Homeless Dave?
He's in New York this week.
Yeah.
He's coming. I'm assuming, is he coming back this weekend, Brad?
Yeah, traveling.
Yeah, he's coming. He's been in there all week.
I get periodic emails from Homeless Dave, just from wherever.
He likes you.
He likes me?
He likes you and Brent. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I like Homeless Dave.
He's a good guy. He just
Great guy.
Homeless Dave's kind of like Lint. Really. He just kind of comes into a room, just kind of sits quiet. When you think about it, very easy to get along
Well,
with.
he's smart. He's unobtrusive.
Unobtrusive is probably the best way.
Yeah.
That's a good way to describe that.
And handles stuff.
Handles stuff.
Handles stuff.
Handles, absolutely. I mean, if Homeless Dave says it's going to get done,
Yeah.
it gets done.
Did he deliver? Didn't he go out in the Eastern Panel, Brad, like last week? He
Delivered a six-pack.
He
Connection
delivered a
304.
six-pack. Someone showed up.
Didn't have it at the food court. Had already sold out. Gentleman from the Eastern Panhandle. Dave just set up. I got it. I'll bring it out.
Where you live? I'm going out that way anyway. Go to the airport. So
I think at one of the gatherings, if I have this right, I talked to so many people at one of the Three Guys tailgates. He met somebody and said, "Yeah, I brought a beer barrel to your house."
yes,
Beer
he
barrel
did.
lid.
He did. That was down Charleston. I think that was down Charleston.
Homeless Dave.
He's
Yeah.
terrific.
He is terrific.
Free Guys brought to us by Tudor's Biscuit World. You know, we don't eat before we do this show.
Brad doesn't, I know.
I don't.
I don't.
Would like a biscuit.
I'm operating on a banana so far today, and it's what, 2:04?
You've had
I could take 2 of those
more
biscuits.
banana than I have.
I could take 2 biscuits right now, take care of them.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah,
Yes.
No.
yeah, you don't know. When I'm ready, I go.
I understand that.
So
So you don't want 2 of the champions, right?
They're big.
I want that
They
world
are big.
champion
You
one.
can't.
I think I could.
Line up.
Put 2 biscuits. They're going to line up.
Tudor's Biscuit World. Start
But you
your
said
day.
that so honestly, like I think I could. I think
Start
be
your,
tough.
Start your day the homemade
They
way
are
with a
big.
Tudor's Biscuit. Three Guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By GoMart. Get a GoMart rewards card. Go to GoMart.com
I stopped there a lot.
for details. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in
Headed
St.
there now.
Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com.
Nettie.
By
Wow.
Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers.
Canvas.
Summer.
Muddledy, Cowan. All right.
Don't start.
Sophia,
Orient.
Tornado,
Hit the music.
Core Unincorporated. All right. Back on Sunday, we'll do the recap of the Oklahoma State game. Thanks to producer Austin. See you.